heard anybody else mention so far. It's because I didn't know.
Hey guys, go watch the rest of that video for full context. But essentially what she's saying is that the reason it took her so long to leave her abusive marriage was because she didn't realize she was being abused. But then once she did, she navigated out pretty quickly. And that's exactly the same for me. So although I knew the things that my ex-wife was doing were not normal, toxic even, frustrating for sure, I would have never called them abuse because it didn't look like the abuse that people normally talk about, like physical abuse. And it didn't look like the abuse that I was used to seeing. And so, I mean, I've mentioned this in other videos. My parents had a terrible marriage, a terrible relationship, very abusive on both ends. And so, you know, when that's your bar, you know, then, and that's what you compare everything else to. So even in my lowest of lows, like where I was just like, I could not possibly do this, with her another day. I would look at my marriage and I would compare it to my parents and be like, well, nobody got hit over the head with a chair today. You know, nobody got stabbed. Nobody lost an eye, because those are real things that happened. And so then I would look at my marriage and be like, oh, well, we're doing all right. Everything is okay. It's not that bad. And so that kept me, unfortunately, in an abusive marriage so much longer than it should have. And so again, my bar was skewed, and then it took, the therapist that I have now, it took her, you know, kind of planting the seeds, like actually what she's doing here is really abusive. And this is how it's affecting your mental, emotional, and physical health. And once I was starting to kind of see that, I knew I had to get out. But it still took an incident. After I came out of the hospital from almost dying of COVID, there was an incident that happened. I'll have to tell that whole thing as a separate story. But once that happened, that's when I started working with my therapist to get out of my marriage. And it still took about 4 months. And it took a different incident, like the boys that we were fostering coming up for adoption, before she finally took that opportunity to use it as a reason to leave, and me not going with her because I couldn't do that with her. And so from the moment that we separated from that, I had us divorced within 3 months. I mean, I couldn't have gotten us divorced any quicker. And so again, you know, I might have put up with it for a lot of years, but 1, it happened gradually over time. 2, my bar was skewed. And 3, I didn't know it was abuse because of that. And so once I did, I navigated out as quickly as I could. And so I just wanted to give you guys that perspective.